Jeff had one of the absolutely worst names and worst logos for a company that I had ever had to go in and work on for a rebrand. No, okay, it was. Okay, yeah, no, it was true.
The journey toward a purposeful brand is hard work and fraught with misled travelers. But being clear about who you are is at the very center of branding. Welcome to Brandifesto, hosted by Gardner Design. We've helped hundreds of clients refocus and get straight to the point. In each episode, our team will dispel common branding fears and share first-hand experiences so you can find your own brand voice, avoid critical missteps, and build a brand worth standing for.
I need to introduce one of my very favorite, not only clients, but friends, Jeff Lange. And usually when we get into a project with a client, I've already met them or know them, but ours was kind of a blind meeting.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. You dropped out a RFP and we showed up, and I was kind of scratching my head about what this a box for you place was, and you'd never met me, and I'd never met you. So it really is a friendship that's kind of developed over an extended period of time because we've done a lot of projects together.
Absolutely, for sure. No, it's been a lot of fun.
As we got into this, though, and I often tell this story because I know you well enough that I know that you won't lambaste me for saying it. But I say, Jeff had one of the absolutely worst names and worst logos for a company that I had ever had to go in and work on for a rebrand. No, okay, it was. Okay, yeah, no, it was true.
It took 10 or 15 seconds to come up with that name.
But it had worked and it had gotten you there. And do you want to talk a little bit about what that name was?
I bet you're referring to a box for you.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
So that happened because my wife and I, Patty and I, were traveling to Vegas probably. I think we were going west, and looked out the airplane and saw some logo that had the number 4 in it for the word for.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, okay, let's do that. Let's work on some name around that. So 10 or 15 seconds later, we came up with a box for you, and we went with that. And having a brand and having a name mattered to us.
Yeah.
And we thought that represented what we did at the time, and so we used that.
I'm trying to remember how long in advance of our getting together to discuss the branding on this had a box for you been in existence?
I think it was less than a decade. It was somewhere around 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And this business kind of transitioned. I mean, originally it was literally containers.
Yes.
That you want to kind of talk about what the product was initially?
You bet. We started a box for you as a portable storage company, which was built around containers.
Sure.
We liked the idea of the universality around the world of a shipping container, how there could be opportunity to do value add by cutting, torching, welding, making something out of those boxes. So we got into this portable storage business, and but we were always looking for the next thing.
You ultimately developed not a matter of taking a container and using that as a blast-resistant building, but building from the ground up.
Yes.
Units that they might look like a container, but in fact, they're very uniquely put together to protect somebody up to maybe a 12 psi blast.
We've learned to really appreciate engineers. ConocoPhillips got us connected with a world-renowned blast engineer. And so we started with converting shipping containers, but 3 or 4 years later, then we started building from scratch, and we've become a company that's really grown over the U.S. and has even become international. Yeah. And thus the kind of Mickey Mouse name of a box for you kind of didn't represent real well, Bill.
And that was, and I love the fact that, you're smart enough that you recognize these things. Sometimes you're talking to somebody and it maybe catches them off guard because kind of like the frogs in the boiling water, you live with it long enough that you don't actually see that it's causing you challenges sometimes. It's more of a hindrance than it is a help.
Yes.
But the name of box for you, for example, a box isn't a synonym for a coffin.
Right.
and you're talking about a place that is safe and protective for individuals to get into, to protect them from that blast. The last thing you want to do is color a box.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised how many people called and said, "Hey, do you guys have cardboard boxes? I'm getting ready to move." And so we understood.
I'm surprised you didn't take advantage of that and get cardboard boxes. I know you well enough.
We certainly seriously considered it.
Okay. So here we walked in, and not only was the name a box for you not on the top of the list for what you would want to move forward with for these blast-resistant buildings, but I recall that meeting wasn't really about changing your name. It wasn't about changing your logo. It was really about marketing.
It was. We had recognized that all of a sudden here that we are really working throughout the whole petrochem industry. The type of clientele that we were working with is a whole different level here now. And so we started thinking, okay, are we really marketing to these folks in the right ways? And so quite honestly, we did the RFQ because we thought, well, surely there's some folks right in the mecca of petrochem around Houston that probably are just awesome at marketing this. And we went out to several folks that were in the marketing world in the Houston area, as we did to you, and we found out that the best in the world, in our opinion, was right here in Wichita, Kansas.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So as we start to think about the fact that we get to a certain point in the meeting where it may have already dawned on you, but it's certainly dawning on us that we weren't just talking about the marketing of this, but we were actually talking about the brand and how people come to recognize and identify the brand, a box for you. When did it wash over you that, we might be talking about something larger here, that we don't know what this is out there in this great abyss? What are we going to be doing?
We quickly learned that Gardner Design was what's much more than just marketing. They really studied our business. That's one of the things that made us decide to work with you and your team, was you have a very good business sense, and what does this mean to us as a business, rather than just kind of getting caught up in the intellectual side of, hey, we do all these wonderful things. You drove that down to how does it bring value to us? And one of those conversations was, have you guys thought about your name? And we admitted, yes, we have thought about our name and know this logo is kind of cheesy and looks like you guys are in that world, and so why don't we talk about that?
And that really was kind of that launch into the idea of, okay, if we're going to change this, we can't just change a logo because we don't know what the name's going to be. As I recall, we probably spent, and it varies with different companies, but there was a lot to consume with what you were doing and where you were going and your plans.
Absolutely.
So we probably spent the better part of 6 months actually going through the evaluation, doing a lot of discovery with you folks, talking to customers, doing surveys, and then ultimately kind of developing a brief that pulled together everything that we believed a box for you was going to be if it changed its name. Do you remember any of that process?
I do remember that, and that was very impressive and very valuable to us because you were doing the research that we wouldn't take the time to do to really understand who is our customer.
Yep.
We were asking who is our customer, how do we market to that customer, what are the right things that we need to be doing.
Right.
And by coming to you, it was kind of an easy button, if you will, that you understood the business case of this and the value to what was then a box for you to really rethink itself and understand our market and dig into all of these different factors here. So it was awesome.
The viewers may note that Jeff is wearing a red shirt. I've seldom seen Jeff not wear red. That's going to come back to these containers themselves were initially painted in red, and boy, you went through a lot of red paint. But red, you recognized the value from a branding perspective of color.
Yes.
And have always kind of been associated with red, and that ultimately kind of worked into the name.
Yes, absolutely. It goes back to our real estate days, and we probably, as we created Jeff Lange Real Estate, we probably had 3 or 4 signs out that were red and white. and people were telling us, "Man, I see your signs everywhere." And so, that red must be
all
good
three or
stuff.
four of them, but it just kind of
So we really valued red. We felt like that jumped out off the page. We really, as we studied the portable storage business, everybody was beige and tan and nondescript colors. So we wanted to paint our buildings red, and they jumped out, and they've all been great billboards for us.
we recognized early on that you had great equity in that color of red because the buildings were red, your former logo was red, some, people recognized you by that. But as we start to move forward, that's always one of the things that we do. And so much of our work is rebranding. And it's trying to determine, what kind of legacy is there? What kind of ownership do you already have in different aspects, that equity that we want to bring into a project, as opposed to just wiping the slate clean and starting all over. And that was true with the name too, because I remember there was even some conversation about RedBox at the time, and of course RedBox it was that video rental unit,
Right.
that you could go to.
Yeah.
We were kind of going, I wonder if that RedBox is really that big a deal. Maybe we could just own RedBox. Yeah. But as we got into naming, we did a pretty extensive study of what those words were that best resonated with the public and your clients. And I think that some of the things that we determined was protection,
Absolutely.
security, and safety were the three main touch points for people. And we literally went through, I think, maybe 100 names that we presented you that came out of thousands that we had looked at and for availability. The other day I pulled it back up, and some of the names that we came down to were Red Built, Red Armor, RedGuard. Seems like there was another one in there. But the word guard came in because it was that idea of a guard both protects you,
Yes.
offers that level of security and protection that just kind of really worked well.
You helped us recognize that fact that this company is about protection, and when we were thinking much more simplicity about our business.
Yeah.
And so by bringing your deeper understanding to the table, that really, it not only helped us going through the branding and logo process, but it just really helped us understand ourselves as well as understanding the customer.
Cutting to the chase, RedGuard is where we ended up,
Yes.
and what an amazing company you've built, and all of the subsets of it, all the different product lines, everything that you've gotten there. Just in talking about getting from that point where we've got a name to this major entity now within the industry.
Yes.
There were obviously pain points in there where you may have second guessed yourself, or this is an investment to do this. I mean, you had a massive amount of equipment. You had a lot of elements that needed to be re-identified. You could have pressed that easy button and just stuck with a box for you.
We could have, but it really felt like to us as we were working with you and you analyzing ourselves that we know we're going to be much more than we were in 2005, 6, 7. We could see some potential for something really unique, one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. And so it really felt right to be changing the brand, changing the logo. We feel good and solid in a name here that we've developed, and RedGuard couldn't be more of a perfect name.
Yeah.
The logo has stood the test of time and really represents well for us. All of the different thought that went into that really created something of value to us as a user of that name, and it's been a huge part of the growth of this company and building that company.
The logo itself ends up being basically a pair of brackets that pull together around this white hexagon that is representative of that cube or that space of safety in the middle of it. And obviously the brackets are in this red and show this dimensionality with these tones of red that come into it. And it was one of those very succinct, it's a large logo. It gives you the essence being a larger entity along with that name RedGuard. And we have done a lot of additional branding with you since then.
Absolutely. We understand the value of
Yeah.
branding. And so after going through this process of taking a box for you to RedGuard, we really understood that means a lot. We understood the value that's brought to RedGuard. And so as we created that next squirrel chase and it turned into a company,
Yeah.
early in the process, then we've come to you and, hey, let's create a brand about that, or a next project, or whatever it might be. It's worthy of a brand, and that's a rallying point. It brings value to us as this company that's going to go drive things. And we've learned, let's think about that early in the process versus 7 or 8 years later.
Yeah. So we got the name, we've got the logo. And so often I tell people, they'll come to our conference room and they'll see all these logos on the wall and they go, "Oh, you do logos."
Sure.
You know, but yeah, we do. That's not much of a brand, but it's not the brand. The name's not the brand. The brand is all of this other that, it's all the touch points. It's the tone of voice that things are written in, the tone of voice that you speak to people in. It's the personality that you convey to them. And I often tell you it's the brand language, which is not just the logo and the colors, but the fonts and the textures and the pattern and the type of illustration and the type of photography and the materials that you use. It's all of those things
It's amazing.
that come together.
Yes.
And you guys recognized that early on and started to involve us in just about every aspect of the brand.
And from a layman's terms,
Yeah.
because you can eloquently speak to each of those things, and that just doesn't roll off of our tongue or my tongue here like it does off of yours. But it's just interesting how we've been educated by cooperating and digging into things with you. And now we think that way. We understand the value of thinking each of those little touch points.
I think that when you start thinking about that brand, one of the things that we do that you kind of recognized early on and have come back to multiple times is we start to look at the personality of a brand.
Yes.
And a brand is unique from the perspective of, much like different individuals that we know each have a unique personality, so do brands. And it's what helps people associate with them. And there was a woman named Jennifer Ocker that developed a thesis back in 1997. She was a Stanford professor, and she says a brand is going to fall into one of 5 dimensions. It's either going to be sincere, or it's going to be exciting, or it's going to be competent, or it's going to be sophisticated, or it's going to be rugged. And usually a brand is a kind of mix of that. So we spend a lot of time with RedGuard, really, and each of their entities as we brand them, looking at the personality. Do you remember any of that?
Absolutely do. And I'm more specifically to somebody like myself of concentrating on, you talked about all uppercase letters or having lowercase letters and how that speaks to people. And so as we've gone through the naming and the branding process and touching all of these different factors, it's just amazing to me how everything matters when, in my simple mind, I wouldn't think about it near that deeply. You've
got a lot of other stuff on your mind. It's
for some reason, and it's valuable to have somebody that understands those things and really takes our company and speaks our company's mission and to those points. What is this company about? Who is the client that we're serving? And let's speak to them the right way and how we represent.
Kind of looking back at this whole process, if you were talking to somebody else that was contemplating going into reimagining their brand or to think again about updating their future, how do you think you would share from your experience something to them that helps them understand the process or understand the challenges associated?
Sure. Well, a lot of businesses think about strategic planning and business evaluation, and they're good at being critical of themselves. But I think most of them think about operations or financially or these other factors and maybe just don't think about their brand, their representation out there to the world. So I would really encourage business owners to really rethink themselves, look at themselves and say, hey, is this brand worthy of who we really are? This is where we think we're going to. We're not sure that this represents well. What's your thoughts on that? And there's just a ton of value in that, and not forgetting your name and your brand. The other thing that crossed our minds as you talked about all of the red boxes is we had a whole lot of red boxes. We thought at the time we have a whole lot more than that today, but through my mind, I'm thinking, man, that's going to be expensive to be changing every one of those signs on every one of those boxes, let alone stationery and some of those other things. So as a business owner, I know you're going to go through that process that, well, this is an expense. Does it really create value? Do I get a payback on that? And I would say without a doubt. And it's truly an investment in your company, and in the future is valuable.
Thank you very much for taking the time to
great.
walk through this.
You bet. No, thank you very much, Bill, for all that you've done for us so far. And we're going to keep doing a lot of things going forward.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You bet.